episode 135.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey, everyone. We have from down under Australia, Charlie Borg. How you doing, Charlie?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ron. Good. Thanks, Ali. Nice to join us.
Great to have you here. So we're doing good here in St. Louis. How you doing in Thailand, Ali?
I'm good. I'm actually, Australia's closer to me, so I'm feeling like we got some other sort of languages on the show now, just to mess with you Americans' heads.
I know. I don't know how to say good day, mate, but I'm going to try.
But it ain't like that.
It ain't like that. So maybe we'll get an education on that, too. So cool. Charlie's been collecting comic books for over 40 years. In order to finance his habit, he bought comic books in bulk and sold them individually. The rest, they say, is history.
That's got a little bit of a rap to it. I like that. So, comic books.
It does. Basically, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No. Carry on. So you're a comic book man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been collecting comic books. Essentially, I started reading when I was 5 and 6 years old. And then, eventually when I left home, I decided to make into my own collection. Like I said, then eventually got married. And then was a stage where, how are we going to finance this? And so I decided to, I'll let it pay for itself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you must have what at day, how many comics do you think you got in stock then?
From a store, I've got about 10,000 in stock, and my own collection's probably about 25,000.
Oh, so 10,000.
Don't tell anybody; it's a secret.
Yeah. Nobody's listening. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
So 10,000 in stock. The first thing that comes to my mind is, how do you find that one comic book that I just purchased?
Basically, it's just through reputation, I suppose, because you scan through eBay and you'll spend a couple of hours looking through, see what you can find, and you just look for the bigger bargains. But also, over the period of the years, people get to know me, like my buyers get to know me, and then when they want to sell their collections, they'll come to me and ask me to buy their collections off them. Yeah, and then what happens is you get relationships with various sellers around the traps, and basically if they got something to sell, they'll come and see you.
Amazing. That's awesome. So that's how you buy. But what I guess what I was asking, and maybe I'll ask it a little differently, when I buy something from your eBay store, how do you locate that with 10,000 comic books?
In my store at the moment, I've got 1,700, and basically you just go to the store search, store search, store categories, and you type in what you're after. And if I don't have it, ask me and I'll see if I have got it.
That's awesome. I'll do all the talking because the American accents obviously get lost here. So you mentioned that you had 25,000 secret stash. So you got like that? You got in a safe? Is it like sort of Mission Impossible, James Bond sort of style where no one has access to these comics?
Yeah, just don't come into my house. That's all.
I don't know if we could.
Tripwires.
Yeah. So what's all right? So what is the oldest, or I don't know how you sort of tell what it is, but have you got like a first edition or an oldest? I mean, what's your best comic book that you got?
It depends what you call best, because the oldest I've got a Superman 4, which is from 1940, 41.
Oh.
I've got a Batman 3, which is from around the same period. I've got a massive collection of Avengers. I've got Avengers #1 upwards. Captain America from when he first started, Amazing Spider-Man from 1 upwards. And so I've got a lot of stuff from the 1960s.
Amazing.
Which they're worth a bit.
Yeah. So we had in episode 32, almost 100, over 100 episodes ago. Episode 32, we had Jerry O'Hara. Do you know that name?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
He is the king of comic books, and we had him on there. And one of the questions we asked him was, how many of these comic books that you have had you read?
I would say about 5%.
My word. That is a lot.
That's still a lot, isn't
it? Because there's certain there's stuff I grew up with, and becomes passionate with the stuff I grew up with. I grew up with the stuff from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I read. And then the rest of it all became basically, like I said, to make a bigger collection. I suppose you guys remember the term Marvel Zombie. Have you heard that?
I'm not sure.
I can understand the Marvel part, but I guess it's just when you're...
A Marvel Zombie was somebody who used to basically just buy every single title whenever it came out.
Okay.
And that was the term there was a lot of comic collectors were given during the 70s and 80s and 90s. And Marvel basically used that to grow their business because basically people kept on buying and buying and buying it like a zombie, mindlessly. And I was one of those.
Yeah, nice. So you got some cool nicknames. So, okay, so you got these comics. I imagine there's some taking care of them in there. I mean, do you have to put these in a special place, or are they all like, what do you call it? They're all wrapped in plastic and stuff?
Yeah, they're all in plastic bags and boards, and they're all on the bookshelf. So they're all laid vertically.
Yep.
Basically spine to spine to protect them. And that's how they lay. And obviously out of sunlight. That's what you got to do. Keep them away from sunlight. Sunlight and water. That's the enemy of comics.
I was gonna say, I'm sure you make sure your roof don't leak too, right?
Yeah. Well, the first thing we got done when we bought the house was to make sure the roof got fixed up.
That's it. Yeah. It's amazing. So are you always out hunting, finding more? I mean, is it? I don't know. Do you do like modern ones as well?
Yeah, I do modern ones as well. Personally, I don't read the modern stuff because it's not really what appeals to me anymore. But I do keep in touch with what's going on, basically as an investment purpose, to know what to buy and then to know what to sell later.
Yeah. So to that point, if I handed you a comic book, that was like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years old, would you be able to evaluate the cost of that, or, the value of that pretty quickly?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a thing called...
He says with no doubt.
No hesitation in his voice.
No doubt whatsoever. Yeah, and further your point too, I've got 25,000 comics here. If you ask me to pick out a comic, I'll know exactly where it is. I'll find it within a minute.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's unbelievable. That is incredible. I've got 6 things on eBay and I can't find 4 of them.
This is great. So what about fakes? I mean, is there a fake market out there where they do fake comics?
They do. They're more so, that's more with the artwork.
Right.
What I've noticed, what you see in Facebook sites, is that people would put up a piece of artwork, or say it's a piece of artwork, and what they'll do is they'll Photoshop it and put it as Photoshop an original cover, and then put it on a plain piece of paper and Photoshop it and make it say, this is, for argument's sake, Gene Colan's artwork, original artwork done in 1967, cover from Batman. But a lot of that stuff's actually fake. With comics, you can really pick them out really quickly. What there is a trap is a lot of the stuff, there are a lot of reprints and people sell them off as originals.
Right.
Well,
so I am looking through your store here and I see, did Kiss, the band, have a comic book?
Yes, they did. Yeah, it was, they had a series from an independent.
Psycho Circus?
That's the one. Wow. That's the one. So,
wow.
I sold one. Well, I learn every day as well. You're talking about what people are collecting and what people are looking for. Well, a few months ago, I bought a collection of various stuff in there, and as I went through, I noticed that there was a Prince comic book.
Prince?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, I'll do your research. You go through eBay and you see if you've seen one before, because it's not something that you'd find in the guide. It's not something that's regular.
Right.
And so I did my research in eBay and I found it was worth $100. I had no idea.
Nice.
Well, I sold it.
Nice. Yeah. I'll bet you did.
Yeah, I bet you did, man. That's awesome.
Brilliant.
That's
so
really cool,
what's your average day then? So do you spend a lot of time on the road finding stuff? Are you listing every day? I mean, like, how do you basically run your eBay business sort of from day to day sort of thing?
It's basically I work every day. So after this podcast, I'm going to work. So I work as a courier from in the evenings from 2:30 to 10:30 p.m. And then when I come home, I'll check and see what I've sold on eBay. And then the following morning, I'll pack them up. And what I do is from there is, if I get time, I'll scan some comics to prepare it to put on the store, and from there I'll try to put some on. It's because it's a hobby store. It takes a lot of time to do stuff. as you can well appreciate. And sometimes I can put on 10 one day, sometimes I can put 30, and sometimes I don't do anything for 2 weeks because I've got other commitments and other activities I like doing.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you said did you say you scanned them? You scanned the covers? Is that? Oh wow. So you don't. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then as you're the courier, you just deliver them.
No, sometimes I do. Yeah. If something's within my run, I'll go and deliver it during when I'm at work.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's like that's what you call good feedback, good service.
Yeah.
It's called multitasking as well.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. I mean, seriously, I'm looking at your categories and it just goes on and on and on. I'm like, wow, man, I didn't even know Dell has comic books, man. Lone Ranger, Lassie, Tarzan. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Dell was around from the 50s and 60s, and then eventually a lot of those titles were taken over by Gold Key, who do your Bugs Bunny and all that sort of stuff as well. They were very predominant in the 50s and 60s, and then I think it's Gladstone took them over in the 70s and the 80s. So they took over those similar titles. A lot of companies basically they have a period of time where they're functioning profitably, and then they just go under, and then other companies just take over the titles.
Ron and Ali will be right back after this short break.
Life is full of numbers. Our brains process literally hundreds of numbers and equations every hour of every day. When it comes to your business, give your brain a break as well as peace of mind that the numbers are figuring up as they should with MyCost Pro. MyCost Pro is an easy-to-use automated eBay bookkeeping program for Excel that imports sales data directly from your seller account. MyCost Pro automatically generates accounting and performance reports to show you your true bottom-line profit. You can even view and edit active listing details such as price and quantity and relist unsold items directly from MyCost Pro. All you need is Excel on your Windows PC. Take control of your business and free up those long nights of crunching the numbers. Visit mycostpro.com for a 21-day no-obligation free trial using coupon code PODCAST, exclusively for So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast listeners. So, you have an idea, a big idea, and you're ready to jump into the world of e-commerce. Awesome. But where to start? The answer is only a click away. At solutionsforecommerce.com, you'll find available services to help manage, audit, or even build your e-commerce site from the ground up. With over 10 years of experience in developing and managing channels on sites like Amazon, eBay, Shopify, and Etsy, Solutions for E-commerce can help you to grow your small or large business. Take a step back from the technical and do what you do best, and let Solutions for E-commerce handle the tedious stuff like creating, reviewing, adding, or removing listings, setting up or organizing store categories, even merchandising and customer support. Find out why their clients say that their business wouldn't be what it is today without the help from Solutions for E-commerce. Visit solutionsforecommerce.com and take your e-commerce business to the next level. That's solutions, the number 4, ecommerce.com. Use promo code eBay at checkout for an exclusive So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast discount.
Be sure to check out SoYouWannaSellOnEBay.com for the latest podcasts and all the information you need to get selling fast.
So how quickly did you realize that you could make a decent amount of money doing this? Did you start out as a hobby and then you kind of said, wow, there's something here. I've got something here.
I do. It's still a hobby, essentially. I've always had plans and dreams to actually make this full time. But I suppose because you didn't want to really bite that bullet to take it on full time because you've got family to look after and you didn't want to make sure you generate a regular income.
Yep.
So you want to keep a regular job. So I think I could certainly make it a full time business. But it's a lot of hard work actually, and it's very, very time consuming. You just don't realise how time consuming it can be. Like when I first started, I was basically getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going onto the mega stores in the US, and the old sniping. I used to go up at 3 o'clock and snipe the auctions. That's what I was doing. I was buying in bulk. And then when I come over here, I'd keep the ones I want for myself. and sell the others individually, and that's how it goes. And it essentially paid off the collection.
So, I suppose as it's your thing and it's your passion and you have the experience with it, bringing someone else on board to help you list while you're working. I mean, have you tried stuff like that?
Nah, I'm a manic. I want to control. I'm a control freak, man. I want to control myself.
Don't touch my
you
comic.
and Ali get along so well. That's awesome.
I know what I can do, and yeah, I'll be watching over them anyway, so it'll be a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and giving them a bad feeling about themselves, but for doing things wrong, and
that's not Spider-Man 20. That's Spider-Man 21.
Exactly. What do you do with it? How can you grade this a very fine? It's clearly a very fine near mid. You're costing me money.
Yeah. So, that's cool. So, wow. I mean, it's such a passion. I mean, we've had other people on who I think they've done like coins or different types of things where it's so specifically a niche. It comes from a passion, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like I said, I remember reading comics with my friends when I was, like I said, 5-6 years old. And we all bought, because we didn't have the money, we all bought different titles. And what we do is we'd read and share each other's titles. Like, I'd buy, for argument's sake, Avengers and Captain America. A friend would buy a Hulk and Batman. Another friend would buy Superman and Thor. And then we just swap the comics over and read them. And that's when at that stage, I was reading 100% of the comics, not 5%.
Yeah. Wow.
Now you haven't got time.
I'll tell you what's really cool is it seems like people that read comic books, they really read a lot of comic books. I never grew up. I grew up. I think we're about the same age, but I never grew up reading comic books. But I had a couple friends, and man, it was just like they were all in. It was like all or nothing. They never really just kind of read for a hobby kind of thing. They read for. I mean, it was real. I mean, they got into the Captain America and all the different comic books that they were reading.
That's very true because, look, for me it was, and this is going to sound creepy, it was the smell of the paper. When you open it up, you read it, and the memories come flooding back.
I can relate to that.
And then what happened, it's like, and then I knew every Wednesday my milk bar would have a new shipment come through. So I'd be there with my 15 cents, and I'd run down and I'd buy my comic that I want, and I'd be absolutely busting to read the story, and you fell in love with the characters, absolutely fell in love with the characters, and to me they were real, and you feel their pain and all the rest of it, and that's what gets you into it. And the artwork's just that's also amazing as well.
So in your lifetime, how many superheroes have you been? How many times did you throw a cape on and say, "Yeah, I'm Captain America,
Catwoman,
I'm here to save the world"?
No, more so it would be for my own self-interest. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being Superman and having X-ray vision.
There you go.
And you can work that one out for yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I will say this. I never read the comic books, but my friends always showed me the X-ray goggles that you can get on the back. There was like adverts in the back, and it's like X-ray goggles, and it's like, yeah, guys, okay, it really doesn't happen. But
look, we used to play games, and I remember playing Captain America and get a garbage can lid and throwing that around and using that, and we used to throw rocks at each other, and basically, you'd be using that garbage can lid to protect yourself. It was tough times in the 60s and 70s.
Rough. Brilliant. So what about copyright? I mean, do you have to prove that these are real on eBay? Is there any hoops you have to jump through at all for this type of genre?
No, not really. Basically, you purchase the comic, and you just got to. The only things you've got to be wary of is the prints, whether it's a first print or a second print, and what they call now is they got variant covers. So basically, nothing I do is original. What I do is just buy somebody else's artwork or comic and then sell that. So there's no copyright restrictions whatsoever.
Right. And is there like clubs? Let's say someone, because a lot of people, especially in America, they seem to collect stuff. Like, I know Ron's wife has like Barbie stuff, and other people collect stuff as kids. So for someone who's new to this type of thing, is it a case of just starting to put it on eBay, or do you have to join different groups to learn about? I mean, what was the way you did it?
I just did it basically just through my friends, but now with Facebook and Twitter and all the social media aspects. You've got Facebook groups where a lot of comic groups out there where people actually talk about the new stuff, they buy and sell comics on there as well. And what they do is they show off their favorite comic books, they'll show off their favorite pieces of artwork, and then people go out and meet each other and they talk about it. And there's also, you call them flea markets, we call them fairs. Yep. Where like I'm doing one in 2 weeks' time in Chadston, where I'll set up a stall and I'll be selling the comics there. And from there, you meet people and get friendships. Yeah. And from there, a lot of times too, the sellers would actually buy from each other and then put them on their own eBay shops. So, yeah.
That's awesome. You know, what's really cool is, when you look at the comics, and like I said, I never read them, but I was always fascinated with the artwork. You know, you kind of touched a little bit on it just a second ago, but it's amazing. These guys that draw these things are just incredibly talented, right?
Oh, absolutely. Look, everyone says the king was Jack Kirby. He was around, from the 40s. He's the one who actually created Captain America, him and I forgot the other guy. Anyway, Jack Kirby, he was a major player in the comic business for about 50 years. And my part the personal favourites are people like John Buscema, Gene Colan. More modern day, you got Deodato, you got Jim Lee, you got Finch, and there's many others. And that's, I suppose, where I've probably stopped with the modern stuff now, because a lot of the modern stuff to me seems a bit scratchy, and it's more blocky. And therefore, it looks more cartoony, and it goes stretched more towards the anime, the Japanese style. Yeah. So that's what the kids like nowadays. Whereas I'm old school, 60s and 70s, classical. You can just, the way they draw it, they live. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They can in single panels. They can make things live, and they make things move. And it's just different styles, but I'm very much old school in that respect.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like Ron says, it's amazing for what they had in those days as well, especially the 40s and stuff. You know, it's pretty spectacular stuff. I mean, it's this sort of thing's beautiful. So does it mean just because it's older that it's worth more money, or is it the artist who created it? Is it the year of it? I mean, how would you know what this would be worth, sort of thing?
A lot of it's got to do with it's quite a lot of factors. It's like a lot of first appearances. If somebody becomes a key character, and a lot of first appearances, that makes them very expensive. Like, you'd think that I'll give you an example. Spider-Man 1, which is obviously a very hot book, is probably worth anything between $10,000 and $20,000. Whereas this first appearance was actually in an Amazing Fantasy 15, which is selling for anything between $15,000 to $200,000. But that all depends. It's one of those. And the thing is, with today, go back to your original question, whether it's old makes it valuable. Yes and no. Like I said, it depends on the character, it depends on the artist, and depends on the scenario which it was brought in. You can have an old comic that's probably just totally worthless. It also depends on print runs. Whereas now, the comic industry is like the stock market. And with the advent of TV and movies, certain characters, like I suppose you're familiar with the Black Panther at the moment, the movie is coming out?
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Well, since the movie was coming out, I was speculating 3-4 years ago, his first appearance was, I'm going to sound nerdy now, Fantastic Four 52. That comic 5-6 years ago was possibly worth $50 to $100 in a nice, I'd say it's called an 8 out of 10 condition. Within 6 months, that will sell for $300-400.
Wow!
Purely on the speculation. Now, if the movie ends up being successful, that'll escalate the price again. But if the movie ends up being a flop, it'll drop.
Wow!
So you got to know when to buy and sell. And a lot of it's
kind of got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, don't you?
Correct. I'm a card player too, so I understand it as well. Don't worry.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So like, if a new Avengers movie was coming out, do you find you sell more of the Avenger comic books? I mean, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, but also too depends on who the characters are being introduced. So if it's a new character, let's say for argument's sake, it was the Vision, which we all saw in Avengers movie. So his first appearance, which is Avengers 59, basically went from X to Y.
Yep.
And purely because of the speculation on the appearance.
It's amazing.
But it could go the other way as well. Like there was the Apocalypse, which was in X-Men. His comic went from $5 to $100 to $200. The movie was a flop. It's now worth $20 again.
Right. Jeez. You got to keep
crazy.
up. You got to keep. Yeah, Ron. Go on. It's me. I'm always talking, Ron. No, go on.
No, I just love the two accents competing with each other. I love it. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go park my horse. I'll be right back, guys. No, I was just gonna say, Charlie, that Spider-Man was one of my favorite heroes from the day, and I'm going through your list here, and I didn't know that there was such thing as a Spider Girl or a Spider Woman until just now.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow.
You probably touched on a sensitive part for me, because that's where I'm actually losing interest, because basically they're mass producing the characters. They're running out of ideas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let Spider-Man save the world, man. Why do you got to bring Spider-Girl and Spider-Woman into this?
It's his wife. He's got to have a spider wife. God.
If that's all she was. I mean,
well, there's been a spider wife. It's like remember, you all know. Sorry, you don't all know the Hulk. Well, there's a red Hulk and there's a grey Hulk, and there's probably gonna be a puce in an off-white Hulk, and it's just ridiculous. It just this gives the stage of being, to my way of thinking, a bit over the top and a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree.
There's mini Hulks, There's baby Hulk. I mean, you've got to create the story.
There has been a baby Hulk. There has been a baby Hulk.
There you go, man. it's all. So where do you see yourself in the future then? I mean, what are you looking at here? More magazines, more. What's your idea? Comics?
I noticed you asked that question before I could.
I did, yeah, no, because Ron I have to tell you, last week Ron stole my question here, Charlie, and I've been on him, so I have to get it in quick now, just in case he doesn't know what to say.
A lot of it's already going that way. A lot of it's already going online. You're getting stuff online, and people are basically reading them online on their laptops and on their phones. A lot of stuff. People are just basically buying online books now. But to me, I think there'll still be a market for what we call back issues, the stuff from the key stuff. And I think, as what will happen is, when the online business increases, you'll find there'll be less. It's already happening now. There's already a less of a print run with the comics. So if something actually comes out that's going to be of a key character later on, it could become valuable.
Yep.
So you just got to look out for it.
Scarcity, definitely.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. Essentially supply and demand, because comic was going through a massive highs in the 90s, but what happened was there was a massive print run. Look, they were printing a million copies at one stage. So everybody at that stage thought, let's collect everything. And what they didn't realise was, everyone's got it. Everyone's bagged and bought it and protected it. The supply isn't diminishing. Whereas the stuff from the 60s and 70s, you read it, you put it away, you probably threw it in the box. So therefore, its condition was going to deteriorate, and not a lot of them survived. And that's why they are more valuable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It completely makes sense. So with your comic books from the 1940s that you were talking about, do you have to do anything special? I know Ali kind of asked the question about how do you store them in bags and stuff, but do you have to do anything special to make sure that they don't, kind of deteriorate a little bit?
Yeah, keep them dry and keep away from the sun. Now, I don't know if you heard of a company called CGC.
No.
What they do, a lot of comics, a lot of people, because comics now basically go in several groups. There's also people who buy comic as an investment, and people buy comics to read. CGC was formed for the investment part. What they do is they'll grab a comic, usually send it to them, and they'll specifically grade it, and they call that a guaranteed grade. And they're packaged in dark plastic cases. So I've got those ones. I've got them in dark plastic cases, and they're preserved in that way.
Okay, wow. Gee, I mean, you've got it all figured out. You've been doing this so long. It's really an amazing, and it's the passion in your voice and the knowledge that you have when you talk that just makes this sound awesome. It's a fantastic story.
Thank you.
And it's.
No, look, I do love it. Like I said, it's been a passion of mine for a long, long time. I truly love it. And like I said, that's the problem too. You're talking about why, when you're doing stuff in the store. The problem is when I'm selling stuff, which I used to read myself, I'll sit there and read the comic before I scan it. So it takes a lot longer to put on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, seriously, I mean, like Ali said, the passion in your voice is just like, this is something you truly like to sell. And, one of the things that we talk about on occasion is, sell things you love. I mean, because, really, when you sell what you love, I mean, it's you have the passion to keep doing what you're doing here. And if I ever wanted to sell an Alpha Fight or a Cloak and Dagger, comic book, I know where to go.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what it's all about too. Look, they say if you want to do something in business, do something you're passionate about, and therefore you'll succeed in that. And that's what I look at, and that's what I've always had in the back of my mind to make it a full-time business. And And at the moment, I'm actually, I put myself out on Twitter, I'm putting myself on Instagram, just trying to see how it presents, and hopefully just get a bit of a following. I've got a bit of a following already, but get a bit of bigger following, and one day, even if I retire, just make it a full-time business.
Yeah. And you got your retirement fund sitting in the safe with the old ones that you like to keep just for yourself.
Pretty much, yeah, they are my retirement fund. The problem is the only way I'll ever get rid of them is if I can't read them.
Jeez, I know.
Then you get them on, comic books on audiobooks or something.
Yeah, there
exactly,
you go.
Exactly. Sorry, and that's what you do as well. What I'll do is I'll buy and I'll keep some stuff which I think is going to be an investment, and I'll put them aside.
Yeah,
and that's where I'll stay.
That's just common sense. So, wow, yeah. Charlie, we've run out of time. This is brilliant. I'm so glad we got an Aussie on. I'm so glad we got some different accents flowing around here. Mess with people's chi a bit. It's awesome. So, cheers for spending the time with us, Charlie. And it's just great that this is another reason to be on eBay. You take this passion, this love for what you do, and you can make it real on something like eBay, where you can get your love in front of other people who enjoy this sort of stuff and then start making money from it.
Absolutely. And what happens to you also build relationships as well. Like you build relationships with your buyers and other sellers. It's awesome. Sure. It's a big family, I suppose you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
We'll have to get you back on here again, Charlie. It's been fantastic having you. We'll post all the notes from today's interview on the show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Charlie, before you leave us, how can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me through my website at Bulldog Comics, or they can send me an email, bulldogcomics@optusnet.com.au.
Brilliant. Well, we'll make sure all those links are inside the show notes page. So go over to the show notes page and read up about Charlie's wonderful story here. We also got a resources page. You can check that out. We got all these great links. And we've also, Narilla Digital Marketing has now been launched. This is just a way that Ron and I can help people set up web design, set up even the digital marketing, stuff like that. So that's narilladigitalmarketing.com. We'll be making more announcements about that soon. Charlie, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've really, really enjoyed it. From everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay, I'm Ali Young.
And I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay, and Twitter @Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening. And until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you.
This podcast was produced in part by Pro Voice Works.